Welcome, everybody. I'm trusting you had a fantastic weekend and you're starting your new week in a very, very positive note. Trusting wherever you are with your families, you're doing fantastic. Today, we're going to be looking at something very interesting, and we are looking at how to make your speech interesting, right? How to make your speech interesting. It is very important that as a professional speaker, most of the time you're talking to an audience in a conference, and if your speech is not interesting, I want to guarantee you that your audience will find themselves on TikTok, on Facebook, on Messenger, on YouTube, of course, you know. And at the end of the day, the impact of your speech will not be fair. And so today, we're going to be looking at how to make your speech interesting. Great. So, what makes a speech not interesting? Okay, so let's discuss briefly. What do you think make a speech not interesting? Yes, Lenjo, Milton, Lara, Baron, what do you think? What, according to you, make a speech not interesting? Okay, so unmute your mic and say something. What
Hello,
makes your
sir.
speech?
Can I go first?
Yes. Who is talking, please?
Milton here, sir.
Oh, Milton, great. Go ahead, please.
Yes, one of the things that would make a speech not interesting is lack of passion for your topic.
Okay.
Yeah, another thing could be limited knowledge on your topic too.
Okay. Your knowledge?
Yeah, limited information on your topic.
Yeah. Okay, that's a topic you're talking on.
Yes, your topic of discussion.
Okay. Oh, lovely, lovely. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. The topic is not interesting. The topic is not appealing. The topic is not meeting the needs of the people. Great. Any other person who want to share what made this speech?
Yes, Linda Nelson here.
Okay.
I think one of the things that will make your speech not to be interesting is talking for so long.
Talking for
and
so long.
And just to add to what Milton said, lack of preparation.
Lack of preparation.
So lack of preparation and talking for so long, because what will lead to the talking for so long is lack of preparation.
Great.
Thank you.
I love that. Thank you so much. I love that. Great. Any other person who want to share what makes a speech not interesting?
So can I go again?
Yes, Milton. Yeah. Milton, you're on. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I think lack of statistics and humor plus couple of examples to illustrate your topic. Yes.
Okay. Great. I love that. All right. Let's look at what we got here. You have messed up from the beginning, right? That's one of the things that make a speech not interesting. When do you think your speech is said to have started? When is the right time for your speech to have started? Is it when they introduce you, or when they call your name, or when you walk to the stage, when you take the mic and you start talking? When is the starting time of your talk? When is that? Yes, Raymond, go ahead. Raymond, your mic is on, please. Go ahead. Okay. Your presentation begins the moment you are introduced to talk to people. That's when your presentation begins, right? Your presentation starts the moment you're introduced to talk to people. That one thing you should take note of. So the moment you're introduced to talk to people, that's when your presentation begins. So once you're called to talk, That's when your talk starts. So that's very, very important. Very, very necessary. Very, very important. So you have messed up from the beginning. You mess up from the beginning. That makes your speech not interesting. And when you mess up from the beginning, it becomes very difficult for you to go back and correct that mistakes. It's just like there's some mistakes that once you make them, it's difficult to just go back and correct them. So that is the same way. It takes a lot of hard work. It's not like it's impossible to go correct them, but it takes a lot of hard work to get that done. You have not structured it properly. You know, Milton talked about you not structuring your presentation or not preparing for your presentation. Well, so your presentation will not be interesting if you do not take time to structure it. Okay. And again, if you are not able to tell compelling stories, your presentation will not be interesting. By the way, storytelling is a very powerful weapon that you can use as a speaker to move people emotionally and to be able to persuade people to take a decision, to believe in an idea, to be able to change their mindset about a particular concept. That is the power of storytelling. So if you don't have a good mastery of storytelling, you will always struggle with your presentations. And at the end of the day, it will not be interesting. Okay. So you have to take note of that. Now let's dive deeper into the gray matter. How do you make your speech interesting? Keep it shorter. I think Lenjo talks about this already. Keep it shorter. A long speech is never interesting, no matter the kind of wisdom you are pouring upon your listeners, your audience members. A long speech is never ever interesting. So make it shorter and interesting, and then they will always love to have you the next time. Choose your words wisely. This is very important. The way you applied or deployed your words as a speaker matters a lot. And again, it's not just the kind of word to use. Anytime you want to say something really, really powerful, it is always advisable not to just jump into it. For instance, I want to share with you a secret in public speaking I've never shared with anybody. And here's the secret. You see, you want to get the secret. You want to get it. It's because when you pause, people are craving and yearning to listen. And that's what makes public speaking or professional speaking interesting, because when you want to say something powerful and really deep, you announce it. Once you announce it, then people will be craving to listen to it. And then when you pause for some 2-3 seconds, then you punch it. When you punch it that way, people believe and people receive that with a lot of excitement. So that has to do with how you play around with your words. Grab their attention from the beginning. If you mess up, not grabbing the attention from the beginning, you totally mess up everything. So never you permit your first 3 seconds, your first 30 seconds to go through while you have not grabbed your audience attention. Don't allow that to happen. Make sure you grab your audience attention within the first 30 seconds, right? Again, make them laugh. Make them laugh. Okay, I want us to share briefly. How do you make your audience laugh? Okay, how do you make your audience laugh? What are some strategies to intentionally create fun in class? Let's share. Who wants to start? Who wants to start? What are some ways for you to create fun in class? Please unmute your mic and share.
Yes, sir. I want to give my own point of view.
Right on, please.
Okay, thank you. I think one of the ways to make the audience laugh is to crack jokes.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
To crack jokes.
Oh yeah. Now, how do you crack jokes?
Okay, I think for something to be funny, if you want to say something funny, you make it you make yourself funny.
Okay, how do you make yourself funny? The question is, how do you make yourself funny?
With body language.
Sorry?
I know jokes goes with body language.
Okay. Any other question? Any other person want to share? Okay. It's like the internet is affecting some people. All right. How do you crack jokes as a speaker? How do you crack jokes as a speaker? Okay, so how do you crack jokes? Again, some side note, don't announce your joke when you want to crack your joke. Avoid announcing your jokes, please. Now, you can crack jokes from telling stories, anecdotes. What is an anecdote? An anecdote is actually a funny story about yourself. An anecdote is a funny story about yourself, okay? So that's how you can make them laugh. You could tell a story about something that recently happened, something that happened to you, an experience you had, a funny experience, and then that's how you can get your audience into that emotion of laughter. Tell stories. We talked about storytelling, and in the last class, we talked about the different types of stories, and we said we had the micro stories, the macro stories, and the meta stories. And of course, I expected everybody in this class to understand the difference between the micro stories, the macro stories, and the meta stories. All right, so Milton, can you tell us the difference between the micro stories and the meta stories? Okay, Lyra, can you say something? Raymond. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't say something concerning it though.
Okay, we said the micro stories are stories. It's a story that you cut into different parts. You tell the story, you make a point, you tell the story, you make a point. For instance, you have a story that is pretty long, that can take you 10 minutes to tell, and you're talking for 30 minutes. You don't want to tell all the story at once. You can select aspects of the stories that connect with the points you want to make. And so you tell the story, you make the point, you tell the story. So that by the time you're finishing your talk, you can finish the story. So you're telling it in parts. You're sharing the stories in part. And again, the macro story is when you just share all the story. You get, that's the difference between the micro and the macro. And then the meta story is actually when you do not prepare the story. You just come there and you're seeing somebody, and then an idea comes to your mind or something happened and you just pick the story from the experience there and now. Is the difference clear? Hello, is the difference clear? Hello?
Yes, sir, it's very clear. It's very clear, sir.
Thanks. Great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Express yourself passionately. As a speaker, your energy on the stage is directly proportional to your energy off the stage. What this means is that as a speaker, the moment you are not energetic, that's why I used to say, if you're going to speak on the stage, please, if you do not have energy, borrow energy. By borrowing energy, you need to take something that can give you energy. energy on the stage is directly proportional to the energy of the audience. If you're boring on the stage, your audience will be bored. Okay? If you're boring on the stage, your audience will be bored. So make sure you're not a boring speaker. Because if the energy is low, the audience will not want to listen. Use concrete evidence and simple language. Please, unmute your mics. I'm hearing noise, a lot of noise, a lot of noise.
Hello.
Great. Unmute your mic space. Great, thank you. So what are we saying? Okay, great. So we are saying that you should use concrete evidence and simple language. If you're delivering a talk, if you are delivering a talk and there is a child of 13 years in that particular hall, and at the end of the day, if that child is not able to interpret what you've said, to tell what you've said to another person, you mess up. So your job is to ensure that everybody in the audience members, in fact, you should not be talking to the most educated people. Don't target the most educated people. Target the people who are least educated, because you want to be sure that after your presentation, at least people go home with lessons. People go home with things in their mind, not with the empty head. Okay, so your responsibility is to be sure that you use the simplest language possible and use concrete evidence, so that if you can talk to the least educated person, that will buy himself, you know, to someone who has first school even and is assuming that if you can understand what you're saying as a speaker on the stage, there is no way that a doctor who is inside the audience will not get it. There's no way that an accountant who is inside the audience will not get it. You get. So it is very important for you to target the least educated people when you're doing your talk, so that every other person can go ahead with what you are saying, or can adhere to what you're saying. Okay, so take note of that. Use the simplest English possible, depending on the context, right? If you're talking only to master students or doctors, you don't have to use, you don't have to use as ordinary English. You have to use a little bit of complex English that will align to their expectations. Will they remember what you are telling them? Yes. How do you make sure that your audience remember what you're telling them? One of the best ways on how your audience can remember what you're telling them is by using prompts. What is a prompt? A prompt is actually a tool. It could be a dress, it could be a pair of shoes, it could be items that you're bringing them on the stage as you do your presentation. So for instance, if I come here to talk to you and I have a remote control in my hand, it is a prompt. I said, it was in 2001, the first time I saw a television. When I held the remote control in my hand, it sounded like a piece of bread, which I was almost tempted to eat before I was told that it was a remote control. You see, this is a prompt. If I allow even this speech here, anytime you see a remote control, you think about my presentation now, because you're thinking about, hey, the remote control that he wanted to eat, thinking there was a bread for the first time he saw one. You come to think about it. So this is a prompt, and prompts are very powerful, all right? So when you do your talks and giving some examples or demonstrating with something, an item, your talk becomes unforgettable. People don't easily forget this kind of presentations. So that's one of the ways on how you can make your presentation memorable. Anybody want to share how you think you can make your presentation memorable? Raymond, Baron, want to share? Lenjo, do you want to share something? Yep.
So the stories you tell.
The stories you tell. Great. Yeah. The stories you tell. Any other person?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think one of the ways to make your presentation remembered is the passion you present with, how passionate you are about what you're talking. I think it can be remembered through that medium.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's beautiful, man. Your passion is very important. Passion is contagious, like they say. So that can make you an unforgettable speaker, right? So know and understand your audience. Know and understand your audience. Like I always say, there are some things you need to know and understand about your audience, the audience demographic data, the audience psychographic data. You need to know the state of mind of your audience, where they are, how do they think, how do they reason, what are the problems. You cannot talk to a hungry audience. They will not get what you're saying, all right? An audience that is hungry will not get what you're saying. So what you're supposed to do is to make sure that they eat before you talk to them. Because if you're talking to them and they're hungry, they won't get you. So make sure you study the demographic data and the psychographic data of your audience. All right. Interact with your audience. It's always good to go earlier enough so that you can ask questions, interact with them, ask their expectation. Because when you know their expectation, it will help you to be able to narrow down the message such a way that it would truly, truly have value and impact on their lives. That's very important. The ending matters too. Your ending should be as strong as your beginning. So you don't want to end your presentation by messing up. You could end with a powerful quote, with a powerful statistic, with a powerful anecdote, or with a great story. You should end in a way that the audience should be expecting more from you. Something to put in mind. So I want you to write down these questions and you answer them in the online campus, right? Write down these questions and drop the answers after the class in our online campus. Question number 1, how do you recover from a bad or a poor introduction? You go to speak in a particular church and they introduce you like though you're not important. What do you do? How do you respond to that kind of an invitation? Okay, how do you do that? So write it down. What do you do if they introduce you like, this is a young man who is hungry and he's looking for what to eat, and let's give him 5 minutes and hear what he has to say. Let's give him 30 minutes and hear what he has to say. What do you do? That's the first question. The second question, how to retrieve an audience from the graveyard zone. The graveyard zone is that zone where your audience have just finished taking lunch. You know how you feel when you take lunch, right? You feel terrible. You feel like you want to sleep, you want to rest. Imagine that that's the time that they're asking you to speak. That's the time that your speaking session is. What do you do to bring them back? Write it down and drop your answer. What do you do when your laptop fights back? When you're doing your presentation and your laptop is malfunctioning or is behaving strange, what do you do to stabilize the situation? That's the third question. The fourth, how to recover when you have forgotten to thank somebody. I don't know if you've gone to a location and you're the MC. Well, I don't do MCs. And you acknowledge some VIPs and then you forget one. And before you notice, somebody whispered to your ears that, hey, you've forgotten to mention this person's name. Or you forgot to mention this person's name. And then you're like, I'm sorry, I missed out a name. No, is that how you say it? That's not how you say it. So write it down, because we're going to have this interaction in the online campus where we're going to discuss. You drop your questions and then I'll review them. Next question, what do you do when your cell phone rings within your presentation? What do you do? How to recover what do you do when your cell phones or cell phone rings within your presentation? All right. How to recover if your scripts are out of order? What do you do if your scripts are out of order? Next, how to recover if you lost your place. You're the first speaker, you come late, or you're the second or third speaker, you come late, and you found yourself listening now to the fifth speaker. What do you do when you lost your place as a speaker within the line of the lineup of the speakers for the day? What do you do? And at times you might never have the opportunity again to speak. The other time in 2012, I think I was invited to speak somewhere in one event, though it was a pro bono. A pro bono is speaking for free. You need to be familiar with some of these words. Pro bono, P-R-O-B-O-N-O, bono, pro bono. That is the hard. When you want to speak for free to an event, you say you want to do a pro bono, okay? So I came to do a pro bono, and my boss in Yaoundé, left late. I arrived Yaoundé late, and guess what? By the time I was in Yaoundé, I think it was the fourth speaker that was speaking. And you know, that particular program for me, I just cancelled it. In fact, I talked with the event organizer, and he told me that I'm going to speak the next day. And when they start telling you that you speak the next day, forget. That's all. How to recover when you are inappropriately dressed. All right. What do you do if you walk to the stage and by the way, let me say this. As a young woman, as a woman, when you walk to the stage and you notice that your menses are flowing, what do you do? What do you do when, as a man, when you walk to the stage and you jump out of the taxi or out of the car, or for those who climb bicycle and speak and your trouser has cracked? What do you do? So you got to think about all of these things and put them into perspective. Speakers checklist. These are things you should take into consideration before you leave your house for any speaking engagement. Number one, the script. Make sure your note is well put together and it's well articulated, it's well polished up. Props. If you need the props, you have to get it ready. You know, you have to have got it ready. Equipment and visual aids, you have to put all of that together. Attire, very important. And never you work with one dress. Always take at least 2 to 3. Even you have to speak in one event. You never know that if you're really good in what you're doing before you notice you have so many speaking engagements, okay? So work with at least 2 or 3 suits. Venue, you must know the venue before you arrive there. The travel agency, the flight agency, the flight, all of that, you have to put that into consideration. Audience, who are you talking to? Females, males, children, you know, keep people in mind. Who are the people that will pick you from the airport, pick you from the agency? You have to keep them in mind. You know, introduction, who is introducing you? Is the person aware of maybe your newest qualification, your newest position, your newest achievement, your newest books written? You need to take that into consideration. Handout, are you going to give handout? Products, are you going to be giving them products? You know, and again, you have to know that your products could be your books, your CDs, and all of that. You have to, if you want to travel your books, go ahead and do that. Take note of this lecture. Emergency measures. Make sure you have enough money in you so that in case anything misfire, you can be able to back up yourself and come home in one piece. That's very important because you want to come back home in one piece. That is it for today. Please drop your questions in the online campus and make sure you answer the questions that we have for you, and we're going to reflect on that. Thank you so much, everybody. Please, if you have a question, like I said, you drop it on the campus and alongside with your answers, and I'm going to respond to your questions accordingly. Thank you so much for creating time to be part of today's session. And that was it for today. That was it for today. Please, if you have a question, you can drop it on the online campus.